All right, let's talk about the stuff you buy every day. We're going to unpack the hidden journey of your favorite imported goods. I mean, from the factory floor all the way to a foreign port, we are going to follow the incredible paper trail that makes all of global trade even possible. So, have you ever looked at a made in label, on your phone or your shoes or maybe your morning coffee and just wondered, how did this actually get to me? It's way more than just a box on a boat. There's this whole complex paper trail behind it, and today we're going to follow it every single step of the way. Okay, so before we dive into the how, let's tackle a more basic question, right? Why even bother exporting in the first place? What's the big motivation for a country to sell all its stuff to the rest of the world? At its heart, exporting really just solves one simple problem: having too much of a good thing. A country makes more of something than its own people can use, a surplus. So what do? They sell it abroad, and by doing that, they turn that extra stuff into valuable foreign cash, which they can then use to buy things they don't have. It's this super simple exchange that, well, it creates jobs, it helps pay for public services, and it even builds better relationships between countries. All right, so imagine this. A company has a great product, and a buyer thousands of miles away wants to buy it. The deal is on. But, and this is a big but, there's a huge problem: trust. The seller is thinking, am I actually going to get paid? And the buyer is wondering, am I actually going to get my stuff? How do you possibly solve that when you're on opposite sides of the planet? Well, this is where our first super important document comes into play. It's called the letter of credit, or LC for short. Think of it like a guarantee from the buyer's bank to the seller's bank. It's basically the bank saying, hey, our client is good for the money. As soon as you can prove you've shipped the goods, we'll make sure you get paid. It's like the financial handshake that gets the whole thing started. Okay, so the money part is secured. Now it's time to actually get the product moving. The goods leave the factory, they're on their way to the port. But hold on, you can't just show up and start tossing your boxes onto the first ship you see. Oh no, there's a whole process for this. So first things first, the exporter gets what's called a shipping order. This is basically the official green light. It tells the ship's captain, hey, make some room for this cargo. Then, once the goods are actually loaded onto the ship, there's this really critical handover moment. The captain's assistant, they're called the mate, issues a receipt, and that little piece of paper, it marks the official start of the whole sea voyage. And that document is the mate's receipt. It's the very first piece of physical proof that the goods have officially left the exporter's control and are now in the hands of the shipping company. It's a pretty simple document, but it's absolutely vital. It just notes what was loaded, how many packages there are, and, whether everything looked like it was in good shape when it came on board. The journey has now officially begun. All right, so the cargo is out on the open sea, sailing to its destination. But the paperwork isn't done yet. Now a whole new set of documents comes into play, and these are all about keeping the customs agents happy at the other end. And there are two documents here that can get a little confusing, so let's break them down. First, you've got the certificate of origin. This just proves where the stuff was made. Why does that matter? Well, it can mean lower taxes if there's a trade agreement in place. Then you have the consular invoice. This one proves what the goods are worth. This is so customs can figure out the import taxes without having to rip open every single box. So to put it really simply, one is about geography and the other is all about the price tag. So let's recap. We've secured the payment, we've loaded the goods, we've sorted out the customs paperwork, but now we get to the single most powerful document in this entire journey. We're talking about the one piece of paper that is literally the key to the entire cargo. This is it, the bill of lading. The shipping company issues it, but it's so much more than just a receipt or a contract. The magic phrase here is document of title. So what in the world does that mean, and why is it such a huge deal? Okay, the best way to think about a bill of lading is like the deed to a house. Seriously, it serves a few purposes. Yeah, it's a receipt that proves the shipping company has the goods. And sure, it's the contract to transport them. But the most important part is this: whoever physically holds the original bill of lading owns the cargo. The exporter mails this document to the importer, and the importer has to show up with it at the destination port to get their stuff. No bill of lading, no cargo. It is literally that simple. So let's bring this all together. We've gone through the whole journey. We've seen the financial guarantees, the receipts for loading, the declarations for customs. But after all of that, when that ship finally pulls into port, what's the one single document that the importer absolutely positively must have to unlock their goods? Yep, the bill of lading. It is the grand finale of this whole paper trail. It's the one document that proves ownership and finally completes the incredible journey of an export. So the next time you pick something up and see that Made in label, you'll know the real story behind it is written on one of these.